Hey everyone, Sean Dawson here from Julie Harris Realty with your monthly update for September 2022. Now, of course, I don't think I've done a video like this since April this year. It has been a very busy few months and we've had a lot going on in that time. So I do apologise for the lack of updates in that time, but we're hoping to get back into a monthly schedule now right through to the end of this year. I'll jump very quickly into the indices and all that kind of stuff as I do always. Now, if you remember the last update I did back in April, we did start to see a change in the market in terms of positive growth month on month at that time. Very marginal increase it was during that month. It was 0.1% for the entire market. But since that time, every month we've seen incremental increases month on month that have been growing in that time, which culminates today in an increase month on month for the entire market in Brisbane of 1.5%. Now, comparatively to the same time year on year, of course, it still is down 3%, but that will probably be seen right through probably until the first quarter of next year. But, 1.5% increase month on month is obviously a very significant amount when you consider the amount of interest rate rises that we've had over the last, 15 to 16 months. The house category, for this statistic, houses up month on month 1.6% and down year on year 4.2%. And then units. Now units have been powering along now for quite a while, and so units month on month are up 1.1%, and they are actually up year on year as well 3.3%. Now I will say from my experience that is definitely what I've been witnessing in the last few months while I've been selling a few units and townhouses here and there. I think now the new normal is to be coming into the market as a buyer into a townhouse or a unit, and as a result those properties are experiencing quite a bit of popularity, especially within probably a 15-kilometre ring of Brisbane City. This stat here, which I'll pop up on the screen in a second, is essentially a back indices that Corelogic have been tracking over the last 12 months. These go back to September 2022. And this arc here, or this dip here that you're seeing, is basically in line with what I've been talking about for the last 12 months. So we started to see significant declines with the interest rate rises starting in May 2022, right through until probably around February or March this year. And then at that point, when we were starting to go into a quieter market as well, so an autumn and winter market where traditionally sales volumes do go down, we started to see an increase in sales values because of that lack of supply to the market. Now, in my experience selling in that time, buyer interest has been quite phenomenal across all kinds of different categories. And as a result, because of that lack of stock, people are paying, what is an appropriate market price, but that price has been increasing over that time and continues to do so, obviously, until today. So something very interesting to keep an eye on there. Talking about slow times in the market now, we had our realestate.com rep come into the office a few weeks ago and give us some stats over the course of time that we've seen in the market where, the stats that they have on their website in terms of traffic and inquiry and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'll pop these up on the screen as well. There's a couple of different stats here to look at. But essentially, if you look at this, you see, and this is not to be surprising, I suppose, but in terms of the busiest time that realestate.com does have, based on their stats, it's September, October and November every year, with October and November generally being the two busiest months. So if you're looking to get into the market in terms of sale, perhaps now is the best time to start considering preparing the home for sale, because we are about to hit the very busy period of the year. And then, spring selling season, as cliche as it may sound, it is a fact. There are more buyers out there. Inquiry and attendance on the realestate.com website, as you see, increases significantly in that time. So, make sure you get your property on the market so you can have it sold before the end of November. I'll wrap up here just to talk about a couple of the properties that I managed to sell in the time since you last saw me in April. So I think this represents a very kind of wide and accurate spread of the market at the moment in Brisbane. So the first one, obviously, 45 of 29 to 33 Jewess Street in Kingston. Now, some of you may know that I have sold quite a few properties in this particular complex in the last couple of years. The market in that complex has slowed, like the rest of the market everywhere else has, in the last 5 months. This time last year, I think I'd sold maybe 6 or 7 properties in that complex. To date this year I've only sold 1. There has been a few other sales in the complex with other agents of course, but all the sales prices that are being achieved are really quite good prices in terms of where they were 2 or 3 years ago. 45 of 29 to 33 Jewett Street was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single car unit, typical unit in that complex in pretty good condition. Sold off market to a buyer that I met a year prior when I was selling the other batch of properties. We achieved $300,000 for that property. I'm quite confident that if we had have gone to market, we probably could have thrown another 10 or 20 grand on top of that. But that represents a pretty typical kind of sale in that complex at the moment. We've had a few going over the $300,000 mark. When I first started selling there in that complex, the typical 2-bedroom apartment like that was selling for about $215,000. Great little market entry point. Most of the people who have been buying those properties have been owner-occupiers who just want a nice little apartment that's been in a really well-kept complex, close to train lines, close to buses, close to shops and all that kind of stuff. Next one was 117 Vansittart Road. Now, this is the 3rd property I've sold in this area in Regent's Park in the last year or so. Vansittart Road, if you don't know, is quite a busy road, 1 lane each way, but generally used as a thoroughfare from Browns Plains through to the back end of Regent's Park. And so as a result, prices for sales on this street generally go for a little bit below the median just because of that busy road. To boot as well, this property was in a flood zone which had been kind of rectified and added probably about 12 months prior after the significant rain events we had in the early 2022s. The property was a nice 4-bedroom, single bathroom, double carport property on a nice big block, very well looked after, renovated to a lot of extent, backyard and front yard all very well presented and all that kind of stuff. We sold it for $620,000. Now, that represents a very, very good number for a property like this on a busy road. There's been 4 sales on Vansittart Road in a very close walking distance to this house that have occurred since, and all of them have gone for between 8 to 15% less than what I was able to sell 117 Vansittart Road for. I think that demonstrates a typical kind of like campaign. We just were able to make the house look very pretty and work very, very strongly with the buyers. The last one, now 30 Hawthorn Street in Coorparoo. Now I did mention this property very briefly at the end of my last video. Now this was a beautiful 4-bedroom character home on 721 square metre block with a swimming pool, various elements of renovations. Now, throughout the campaign, we met about 80 people 80 groups that inspected the property, along with an additional probably 40 or 50 inquiries. Now, most of the interest for that property was in the 1.5 millions. It ended up selling for 1.458 million after some negotiations based on some things that came back with building and pest inspection. But great result all round. Owners very happy. Owners have since gone on to move into their forever home down in Sydney. I mentioned those 3 properties just because obviously they're 3 very different properties in 3 very different areas and categories. I think that demonstrates obviously my ability to be able to sell anything anywhere. If you would like to talk to me about moving into this spring selling season and getting your property on the market in the next few weeks, if not 6 to 7 weeks before we really hit the peak, please give me a call. You can give me a call or shoot me a text. You can reach me on 0407 149 757. Thanks guys.